Hi everyone, I am Dr. Basili, a full-time orthopedic surgeon and a faculty of orthopedics, and also I'm trying to guide you through this difficult time that is the last 45 days before the NEET-PG exam. Now, I don't want to waste a lot of your time, so I'm trying to keep this as short as possible, but I can't promise it. I want to keep it in less than 30 minutes, but this is my attempt to basically solve all the queries that you have before you go for the big day. That is your exam. Now, listen to me carefully. What I have done is, as you all know, that the INI-CET result has come out, and so many toppers have given their interviews and they have shared their lovely strategies, meticulous, patterns of studying and how to, approach the exam and the grand tests and everything. They talked about that. So what I have done is, as you must have seen a few interviews that I've conducted, I've spoken to the toppers, I've spoken to many toppers, and I've done a few live sessions with them as well. But I want to share what they have shared with me. Now, you must have seen the interviews. You must have seen that. But why is this different? Why is this session different? Why do you have to watch what I say today? First things first, watch this on 2x if you're going to watch it later. But if you're live, you will have the option of, participating in the Q&A where I'll answer your questions. But bear with me. Why do you have to see this session? I mean, we all know that number one, toppers are toppers. They absolutely deserve to be toppers, and there is no two ways about it. And the reason I say that is because a lot of students keep telling me how are toppers, adept in knowledge? How are they able to consume so much content from so many platforms? Is that even true? Are they able to do that? They attend offline, they attend online, they attend so many sources of information. That is a different topic that I will discuss later in some other video. But this is what I want to tell you. I personally feel that a topper would have topped either way, irrespective of the platform or the teacher. And this is what I strongly believe. But the only thing that teacher adds to the life of a topper is the direction. Because at the end of the day, toppers, all of them, they have the basic fundamental ingredients of success. That is discipline and the trust in the process of slowly evolving and then, shining like a bright star. Just like the turtles that I call my students. Right. This is what I'm trying to tell you, that they were toppers. They were always toppers. They should have been toppers. It's just that we are lucky as teachers to be someone who have taught them. At least that's what I feel and that's what I believe. And irrespective of anything that they would consume or attend or watch, they would have topped either way because they have the discipline and they trust the process. Nevertheless, being a topper is not an overnight process, right? It's a process that takes months and years, and they have undergone that process whether they know it or not. Because if you pay attention to their the interviews that they have given, they said they started a year ago or 2 years ago, but they do not realize that they have been toppers from day one. They consumed information that made them who they are today. So it's a process, and it has become this is the summation of that process. So it's not an overnight journey. It's not a 1 year or a 2 year journey. It's a journey of years. So assuming that what they have done can be replicated in a few months or few weeks, I think it's very naive, and you cannot do that. So what I have done is I have listened to them, and I've taken the information from them, and I have processed it, and I'm trying to give you a few important do's and do nots based on what these toppers have told me in terms of how they would have approached the NEET-PG exam in the coming 45 days. And this is very important because what has happened and is in past. So what you can do now in these 45 days is why I'm here. I'm trying to basically just tell you, if you're making this mistake, stop it. And if you're not doing this, please do it, right? That's the whole agenda with this session. So I have divided this session into the following headings. Number one, I'll give you the academic strategy. Please don't mind my handwriting. Like I said, always, it's amazing, but I hope you understand it's legible. The first thing that I'm going to discuss is the academic strategy, what you need to focus on in these last few weeks, in the last week, and the last 10 days. The second thing I will talk about is the non-academic strategy, the intangible that I call, right? We'll discuss that non-academic strategy. Then we'll have a live Q&A. I will read the comments and try to answer your questions and concerns if there are any, right? I'll do that. And third and fourth, I will have closing thoughts. And I'll have closing thoughts. My whole aim is to kind of wrap this up within half an hour, and I'll try to do that. And if you're watching it later, do watch it on 2x. And if I happen to miss out on something, feel free to write it in the comments and I'll reply. I will definitely reply. It might take some time, but I'll reply because I'm actually caught up in so many works right now, and it's very difficult to actually make time to do this, but I have to do this because I've learned so much, and I know a lot of you are going to make these mistakes. So I want to stop you right before your exam, before you make this dangerous mistake. Now, who's this session not for? I always say this, people who are confident in their preparation or who are doing well. Please don't watch this. Go back and do your stuff. You are amazing. You're awesome. Just stick to your plan. You will come out winning. And this session is not for people who have just decided to get up कि आज सुबह हुई और आज से मुझे पढ़ना है और आज मुझे टॉप रैंक चाहिए. This session is not for you. This is not gonna happen. So please, I don't want to disappoint you. ये नहीं होगा. जाओ, यहाँ कोई secret strategy रखी हुई नहीं है. जाओ और थोड़ा और enjoy कर लो और NEET के बाद पढ़ लेना. Right? So this session is for people who are actually working hard and have been working hard and have been putting in the effort, and they didn't seem to crack INI-CET because of some mistake that they made, which is unknown to them. I'm going to make sure that I tell them what that mistake is so that they do not repeat that mistake. All right. So the first things first, academic strategy, right? So I was talking about academic strategy. So what do you need to study? I mean, I can start from today and tell you what you need to do up to the exam, but that's not interesting. That's not me. I'll try to start from backwards because it's easy to understand what you need to focus on in terms of your preparation. Because if I say do this on day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you'll do day 1, 2, 3 and you'll forget. I'm going to start about the last day because that is the most important day, and that's where most of us fail. So last day exam. Last day of the exam, what do you need to do on the last day of exam? And this has been my approach for preparation. Even if I start preparing 1 year before the exam, I'll always worry about what I will do in the last day and the last week so that my preparation actually starts accommodating for the last day and the last week. So in the last day of the exam, we'll be battling anxiety, we'll be battling self-doubt, fear, confusion, and so many things. And so it's a very difficult part of your preparation, and the last day is probably the worst day of your preparation. It is true for most of you. I'm not sure if it's for all of you. It was for me. I couldn't eat on the last day. I mean, it was so tense. I was so tense. It was so stressful. So this is what I have decided to tell you. See, in trauma management or in emergency management, we have protocols. Say ATLS or the ACLS or BLS. Why do we have these protocols set up in place to basically impart the services to save life? The reason we have these protocols in place is because you do not need to think. You just need to blindly follow those protocols so that you do not end up making a rash or a wrong decision because of anxiety and stress. That's why we have protocols in place. So you need to have a protocol for the last day and the last week. If you have this protocol, even if you're anxious, even if you're worried, even if you're tensed, you will not make a mistake. You will do the right things that you need to do, right? So what are the things that you need to do in the last day and the last week? Number one, you need to battle your anxiety, right? How do you battle your anxiety? I feel, this is my personal opinion, I feel anxiety comes from not doing the right thing. Anxiety comes from not knowing what to do, right? Anxiety comes from not doing the right thing, and anxiety comes from not knowing what to do. This doubt will, make you more anxious. So I'll tell you what you need to do based on what all the toppers have done. So if they have done and it has worked for them, this will also work for you. There is no doubt about it. So this is what you need to do. I've talked about 20th book multiple times. You can go and watch this video on my YouTube channel. It's hardly a few minutes and I'll tell you what it is. It's basically it's a book which contains all the factoids that are relevant for your exam, which you have put in that book from your grand test, your subject-wise test, from your mock exams, from your notes, something that you constantly forget, something that your teacher has told you is important. Those are the things you put in that 20th book. This book is the book that has all the important relevant facts. And the reason I say facts is because it's something you memorize, it's something you commit to memory, and there is nothing to understand here. If it was something to understand, it would have been your reflex, it would have been your understanding, so you wouldn't have to revise it again and again. It's just pure facts and you have to memorize it. So I'm sure all of you who have been following me throughout the year, throughout this journey of preparation, must know what this 20th book is all about, right? So you will sit down and read that 20th book, whether it makes head or tail, doesn't matter. Bas kholo or pado and pado. And when you keep on doing that, your anxiety will go away because you know you're doing something that is important for the exam. So 20th book, you have it, and if you don't have it, chalo, start it. Come on, chalo, abhi se banana shuru karo. And it's not too late. 45 days enough to make your 20th book worthwhile. But 20th book is just one part of it. You can actually sit down and revise your facts from your bookmarked pearls. If you're using Marrow, you can use the pearls, which has the factoids. You can mark it, and you've been marking it, and just go and review it. So that will also give you the important factoids that you need for the exam. You can also use the bookmarked questions. Bookmark questions. In Marrow, you have these three types or three patterns of bookmark, right? The star and the bookmark shape, and three types or three patterns of bookmark. So one of those bookmarks you must have used for facts, right? So you can use that now. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is, yeah, revise facts. And if you're going to do revision of these facts, your anxiety will go away and you're doing the right thing. And last but not least, very important, is previous year questions. Previous year questions, you don't have to read all the questions. Just read the questions that you made a mistake in. Just read the questions that you are not good at or you have bookmarked. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is, you have to comb through the information that you have read all these days and just go to the ones that are extremely important. And when you just do it without thinking why you're doing it. You're actually doing the right thing, and it is gonna relieve your anxiety, because you know this is the stuff, this is the good stuff, this is the stuff that's gonna show up on your exam. Right now, this was about the last day. Now, a week before the last day, you should be in full revision force, right? You should be in full revision force. In fact, you're in full revision force right now, but a week before the last day, you should be in full revision force. And this is what I want you to revise. I want you to revise short subjects. All the short subjects, I want you to revise cover to cover. There is no excuse. You need to revise them cover to cover, because short subjects, the information tested is very specific and comes from specific topics. So you need to go there, quickly identify what those topics are, revise them, and go to the exam. Now, what about major subjects? Obviously, major subjects also you will need to revise. Major subjects like medicine, surgery, obs and gynae, you need to revise, but the problem is you cannot do it cover to cover because they're enormous by their size. So you cannot do everything. So what you will focus on, if you can't do everything, is focus on extremely important parts of that major subject. So what are these extremely important parts of that major subject? What's the standard? How to pick up those important areas of the subject? Number one, by now you must have marked them, because they keep on showing up on your grand test and mock exam, so you know what those topics are. If you don't know, you start with previous year questions. So your benchmark is previous year questions. So if a previous year question has been testing a particular topic in medicine, you go and read that, you go and revise that first compared to everything else. So you're not wasting your time trying to read everything, because major subject is big. You're just focusing on the area that is going to be tested. First thing, previous year questions. The second benchmark that you can use is your bookmarks from your Q bank. You can use the bookmarks from your Q bank. That way you're still going to do something that is important, relevant. And the last thing that you can do is subject test or subject wise test that you must have given for that major subject, because this subject wise test has cherry picked questions and cherry picked topics from this massive big subject. That way you will cover the short subjects cover to cover, and the major subjects high yield points, right? So this is what you're going to do. And if you're emotionally strong, if you're emotionally strong, I would recommend definitely doing one grand test in the last week of the exam. But if you're a snowflake and take things to heart, avoid it. But my recommendation is, don't worry about the score, just worry about the exam skill, which I'll talk about in a bit, why GTs are important. So far so good. Are you with me? Right? Right. Now before that, so we have talked about the last day, we have talked about the last week to 10 days. What about before that? What do I mean before that? I mean from today to that last 10 or 15 days before the exam. So in this period, what do we need to do? First of all, whatever you're doing, whatever you have, subjects that you have not touched, subjects that you wanted to do, whatever it is, you have to have a hard stop for anything that you're going to learn new, right? If there are any pendencies that you have not covered so far, even after multiple postponements, finish everything off, anything that is new by 20th August. Okay, please do that. Don't do anything new after 20th August. After 20th August, in the morning of 21st of August, you are in full revision mode. Go into full revision mode, because trust me, this is what we have learned from the toppers. It doesn't matter. What matters is how many times you have revised. I've spoken to rank 3, I've spoken to rank 5, I've spoken to rank 2. All these people say, revise karo. They say, just say revise karo. Don't worry about, learning everything. You can't, just revise. So what I'm trying to say is, if there is something left that you have not touched, okay, ho gaya uska kaam. Tata, bye-bye, don't touch it anymore. Go and start your revisions, because the time spent on learning something new is not going to give you the result that you want. But instead, if you focus on things, revising and putting them in your memory for the exam, that's going to give you better results. So do that. Okay? So have a hard stop by 20th August. Now, what do you have to do before that? right? What do you have to do before that? All of, the 20 days before August. You have to, number one, give grant test every week. Grant tests every week. This is one very important thing I've learned from toppers, and they said that they made this mistake the first time around. They couldn't get in. Many toppers have said this. They weren't, focusing on grant tests. They weren't focusing on the questions. They were just focusing on revision of the notes and it doesn't work that way. You have to have a balance between revising the notes and doing the questions and attending the questions. I'll tell you why. Because you see, most of the students I've spoken to, they had some issue with time management, and you will also in this exam, because now, although they're saying it's going to be, a 3.5 hour exam, and the questions have reduced, but technically they are going to actually increase the size of the question in terms of the language. So you will have to read it, you have to understand it, assimilate it, look for the key points, look for the important lab findings, and then come to a diagnosis. So it's going to take some time. So it's going to be a battle between deciphering the question and then coming to the answer. So time management is going to be a huge differentiator between the people who can succeed and not. So you have to, master the skill of time management. That will only come if you keep on practicing grant tests. So please do that. A lot of students, a lot of toppers have said they regret not taking grant tests seriously. So you need to take the grant test seriously. It will improve your time management. It will give you the exam skill. Another advantage that I've noticed with grant tests is that people understand who they are. Grant tests actually reveal their reality to them. Some people are good guessers. Some people are poor guessers. So by doing, grant tests, you can actually identify what type of a person you are. Do a grant test and, take a guess and see if it's working for you. So it means that your gut feelings and your guessing game is actually good. So be a good guesser in the real exam as well. And if you're taking guesses and it's not working in the grant test, it means that you should not be taking grant tests. So identify what type of a person you are. Nobody can tell you. I cannot tell you what type of person you are. Only the result and the score can tell you. So go ahead and take a grant test, experiment with it, and see what works and what doesn't work, right? And if you come across a topic in the grant test or a question in a grant test that you had prepared previously and you're not good at, don't jump to conclusions thinking that you've forgotten everything. Just go and read or review that topic and you'll be fine. Trust me, you'll be fine, because grant test, the purpose of grant test is to identify these weak or holes in your preparation so that you can plug it. Right? Another important thing I want to talk about is analyzing the grant test. A lot of people ask me, sir, after doing the grant test, do we need to analyze all the 300 questions? So again, the jury is divided in this. A few of the toppers said yes, they did review all the questions, and a few toppers said that they did not review all the questions. I would leave that to you. If you feel that you're making mistakes quite frequently, so go ahead and review all the questions. But if you feel that you know this stuff, you don't have to touch upon this, you just go and review the mistakes. So I leave it up to you. But if time permits, go through all the 300 questions or the 200 questions that you're practicing on the grant test or the mock exam. But if you don't think that you have time, just go and read what you have marked wrong and why you have marked wrong. The whole exercise of grant test would be wasted if you do not review your answers. At least start. All right, so this is what I'll think. This is what I say. At least review the wrongs first. And if you have time and if you have the energy, then go and review the whole paper. Otherwise, at least start with the ones you have marked wrong first. Okay? Kaisa lag raha hai? Right? I think that should work. Okay. Now, so a quick checklist of what I just talked about, so that if you've forgotten in my conversation, this is what I want you to remember. Previous year questions need to be done at least 2 to 3 years. Please do that. Number one, revise the topics from these previous year questions. Revise the topics, all right? Because questions may not directly be repeated, but the whole purpose of doing the previous year questions is to know what they are asking. Yeah, a lot of students ask me, sir, what's the point in doing the previous year questions when the questions are not going to be repeated? The purpose is to know what they're asking. Yeah, the purpose is to know what they're asking. So do that, and then revise the topics that they're asking. Then images. A lot of images are being asked, so review the images. And where will you find the images? In the standard textbook, in the standard textbooks, or your notes, if you're taking printed notes, or you can go to the Marrow web page and you can solve the Marrow image bank or go through the image bank there. So go ahead and look at the images. A lot of toppers have used it and it was helpful. Another important thing in the checklist is, friends, practicing questions. See, grant test is something else. Doing the revising the question bank is something else. But daily practice, you have to do a daily practice of at least minimum of 100 questions. Minimum of 100 questions. Trust me, this is going to be a very, very valuable thing that you will do. A lot of toppers have said that. I'm telling you again, a lot of toppers have said this, that they did not do the questions early on in the preparation and they regret it. They heavily regret it. I don't want you to end up regretting that. So start doing the questions, at least 100 every day. I told you, it teaches you time management. It gives you the examiner empathy. If you go and watch my previous videos, I've talked in detail about this. It gives you the examiner empathy. It gives you the sense of what the examiner wants to know by asking that question. It makes you get into the head of the examiner. So practice questions as many as possible. It can be of the subject that you read in the morning, or it can be of something else, doesn't matter. Mix and match, whatever you're comfortable with. You're not a kid, you understand what I'm talking about. So do that. Now, after INI-CET, we have understood that examiners are asking questions from COVID, and there are a few fundamental topics that they keep testing from INI-CET that comes in the NEET-PG. So definitely go through the recalls that we are going to put out, or you must have seen the questions that have, many of the teachers have actually put out the explanations, or you can watch ours, whatever. Just go through the questions and go through the topics that were asked in INI-CET for NEET-PG as well, And last but not least, definitely give one NEET mock. Give one NEET mock. So these are the things that you will have to do as a checklist. Check it out, tick it off once you have done it. Your preparation isn't complete. You're not ready for the exam if you miss out on any of this. Come on, we don't have time. Let's go. Now, about the exam, this is something that I want to talk about the exam, the actual exam that is going to happen on September 11. A lot of people are telling me, sir, exam is very clinical. It's going to be clinical. So is it going to be hard or is it going to be easy? What should be our approach? And they are trying to, switch their approaches or, the resources to prepare. Don't do that. Listen to me. Clinical questions will be easy. The reason I say easy is because to make a question clinical, they have to give in a lot of information. And they cannot, although the information that they give you may not be necessary, but it cannot be wrong or it cannot be deceptive. So when they give you information inadvertently, the examiner is actually giving you more hints to the answer. So I personally feel that more elaborate the question, the more chances of you finding the right answer. But the challenge is not finding the diagnosis. The challenge is the question after that. The question after that will be the management or the treatment or the drug or the adverse reaction. So what I'm trying to tell you is the approach to the answer may be long and convoluted in the guise of a clinical question, but the answer will be the same fact that you have been practicing, the same concept that you have been practicing. So what does it bring me? It brings me to the point that what I'm trying to tell you is emphasize on the same things that have been testing all these years. Everything that has been tested all these years is still relevant and important. Just the approach to it has been slightly different. The approach to it has become slightly different. So approach has changed. The destination is the same. The destination is the protocol. I mean, what should you do if the Bishop score is this? What should you do in type 2 supracondylar humerus fracture? What is the drug of choice in this condition? The approach is different. Friends, but the destination is the same. This is important. Please understand. Don't get confused. Don't fall for that trap of clinical question hai, ye karna zaruri hai, ye pad lo, ye important hai, and all of these are marketing gimmicks. What you need to focus on is that the destination remains the same, the management remains the same, the treatment remains the same. How you approach that destination is slightly different, and all of you are smart. You know the words to pick. You will do it. You will be fine. Don't worry about it. Just give it time, but don't lose on the basic fundamentals and concept in the process of working on the clinical question. So what I'm trying to say is go back to your basics, go back to your roots, revise the fundamentals. If you don't know what is the treatment of type 3 supracondylar humerus fracture, you will not be able to make the right choice, even if you come to the right diagnosis. So your fundamentals and your basics will remain the same. They are not going to change. The composition of the bone is never going to change unless Elon Musk does something about it. What I'm trying to tell you is the composition and the things and the fundamentals, they don't change. Your approach will change. So be ready for that and don't worry about it. Another important thing I want to touch upon is how many questions to mark. Right? This time around you have MCQs, 200 MCQs in your exam, and please use this or apply this logic in your grand tests and mock exam also. You see, it depends on the difficulty of the exam. It doesn't depend on a premeditated number. We cannot decide this. It depends on the difficulty of the paper. If the paper is easy, you can mark a lot. You can mark around 180 to 190. And if the paper is hard, you can go somewhere around 140 to 150 to 160. So it depends on the paper. Be aggressive with it. Whatever you know, you mark it. And if you can rule out 2 options, you go ahead and mark it. I will come back again a few days before the exam and give you the exam strategy. Don't worry about it. Now is the time for preparation. Right? So this was the academic strategy. We have wrapped it up. We have just a few more minutes. Listen to me. Non-academic strategy. What are the things that the topper said made a huge difference in their preparation and their exam that was in the basket of non-academic strategy? Avoid social media. Avoid social media altogether, right? No Instagram, no Facebook, no YouTube, no Twitter, nothing. If you want information, you can just put Instagram on silent and you follow me and just, subscribe to my channel and you put notifications on only for my channel. If there are any updates for the exam, I'll put it out. Otherwise, you don't need it. You don't need it. Your friends will tell you. So avoid social media altogether and avoid exploring too many things on social media, asking too many doubts. Whatever you know is enough. Just revise that and go to the exam. Okay? Number 1. And don't fall into the trap of, something new is important for the exam. वो करना चाहिए, ये करना चाहिए. नहीं, कुछ नहीं, अभी time नहीं है. जो आता है वही कर लो. And be very conscious of your time. A topper said to me that sometimes what happens is by exploring, looking for the right answer, they would end up wasting a few hours unnecessarily exploring deep down. Don't do that. And if you come across a question that is a little complicated, it's wasting a lot of your time and it's not been asked so many times, don't get into that rabbit hole and come out years later. Don't do that. Stop it. बोलो बस ये ठीक है, डिफिकल्ट है, आता नहीं है, एग्जाम में आएगा देख लेंगे, बाकी सब तो पढ़ना है ना, राइट? So change your attitude about difficult things. If they are not very important, ignore it, all right? And very importantly, get your loved ones, get your friends. I learned this from the 5th ranker. Very important. He said this beautiful thing. He said, if you're aiming for something big and important, get everyone on board with you so that they can be supportive and they can hold you accountable for your desires. So if you tell them ki mama, papa, I have to get this, I have to be in top 500, I have to be in top 1000, please don't disturb me, give me time. If your brother plays music or instruments, tell him please mere ko padhne do, right? Get your family and friends on board. Tell them you're doing this and this is very important. These last 40-45 days you can change your life forever. So they will support you, they will respect you for that. And if they don't, it's great that we know who these people are so we can cut them out of your life, right? Finally, question and answers. Do you have any questions that I need to answer? If you can tell me so that I can answer those questions. कुछ है questions आपके? Yes. You guys are talking about Elon Musk and I'm talking about your questions. Come on, don't waste my time. Anything. How not to feel sleepy at exam GT? I sleep for 7 hours. Still a GT after 60 questions I feel sleepy. Right. So this is something I forgot to touch upon. Thank you for bringing this up. Whoever you are, sir, SF. What I'm trying to say is the exam now is in the morning. So 9 to 12:30 is the exam time. So you need to be extremely sharp and active and jumping and firing in those 3.5 hours. So how do you do that? I don't know. Sleep early, get up early. But whatever you do, your schedule has to be changed to 9 to 12:30 p.m. So how do you do that? You basically practice all your questions and give your grand test in that window so that you are ready in that time frame for the real exam. So you have to do that. You have to actively plan to be active between 9 to 12:30. Get up at 7, get up at 6 and try to be active. You can take a mid-afternoon nap or whatever, but during 9 to 12:30 be active. Best way to be active in those hours is do a test in that hour. And sir, you feel sleepy after 60 questions is because you are probably bored or you don't know what you're reading and you don't know what you're doing, because in the exam, the heat of the exam, the anxiety of the exam, you won't sleep, right? How to revise all the bulk of syllabus in the last week of the exam? Khushi Manik, right? You don't revise the whole syllabus. Khushi, you don't revise the whole syllabus. As you've been revising, you must have underlined stuff. You must have star marked something, or you must have dog tagged a page. You must have done something, right? So those are the things that you're revising. So that's what I mean to say. When I say cover to cover, I do not mean read every line. That's not possible. You're just going to breeze through it. And you have been revising all the while. So you are familiar with what is where. So you will breeze through it. You'll not end up revising everything. Sir, how to maintain focus, speed and cover many topics throughout the day? FDLMC. I mean, I've put out a video about Pomodoro technique, and this is your exam, dude. This is going to change your life. So you need to be conscious about it. This is something that is important to you. So you need to put in effort. You need to stop your distractions. Put your phones away and just stay with your books or your iPad or tablet, whatever you use to study. Just get rid of your distractions, uninstall the apps that cause distraction. Most of the times it's the phone. If you can get away from the phone, I think you will not have a problem. And please understand कि ये 45 days ही है, and if you sit down for these 45 days, you will be thankful for the next 45 years of your life. So do that, right? Anything else that I must have missed? About short subject, right? I told you about short subjects. Short subjects you have to do cover to cover, revise everything. For major subjects, you need to focus on the key areas of the subject. Advita was asking about qualifying strategy. Advita, I've already put out a video where I talk about the qualifying strategy, which gives you the bare minimum, the minimum things that you need to do for the exam. You can watch that video. It will cover everything. All right. I think that's everything that I wanted to answer in question answer session. A few things from my heart that I want to talk about before I close this session. Please understand that all the toppers, what they have done has been done previously, and the toppers before them and the toppers before them, everyone has done the same thing. These are not different people. These are not different species. These are the people among us. These are the people who have the same thought process, the same anxiety, the same fear, the same hunger, the same thirst. They are exactly us. What sets them apart is that they believe in the process. They believe that this is what they have to do, and if they do this, they will reach that destination. So the most important thing for you right now is to believe that you can do it, number one. And number two, everything that you're doing, everything that you're studying today, believe that this is going to come in the exam and this is going to help you. The more you do this, the more confident you will feel. This is your exam. This is going to give you results that you will be thankful for. This is going to make you happy. This is going to bring you happiness in terms of money, in terms of stability, in terms of security, in terms of family, and prosperity. All of these things will come to you after you succeed in this exam. I'm not saying कि overnight हो जाएगा, but this is one step closer to a better life that you imagined for yourself. So this is something that you want. If you succeed, I will not benefit in any way, but I will feel happy for you, definitely, but I'll not benefit in any way. So what I mean to say is, this is your exam. You need to put in effort. You need to find excuses to read. And that is what I have heard about from all the toppers. They found ways to read, and they are so happy and so proud of themselves today because they've put in the hard work, months before this day or years before this day. So these 45 days, if you put in the hard work, if you put in the right hard work in the right direction, avoid all the things that I asked you to avoid, focus on the things that I asked you to focus on, you will be successful. You might not get the first rank, but you will definitely be successful. You will get what you need. May not be what you want, but definitely what you need. I'm thankful that you have given me this time to share my thoughts with you. I wish you guys all the best. If there is anything left that I did not touch upon because of lack of time, please ask me in the comments. I will reply to you. All right, that's it then. Take care.